On Christmas Day, 1969, in a quiet showroom in Tokyo, Seiko unveiled a watch that would nearly destroy a 400-year-old craft. It was called the Astron. It looked ordinary, a gold case, a simple face. But inside, instead of a tiny mechanical heart of gears and springs, there was a sliver of quartz crystal, humming. It kept time 100 times more accurately than the finest Swiss mechanical watch ever made, and it would change everything. To understand what happened next, you have to understand what the Swiss had built. For generations, a Swiss watch was the standard of the world. From the end of the war into the 1970s, Switzerland made more than half of every watch on Earth. Whole valleys lived by it. A boy would apprentice at 14, learn to cut and finish a balance wheel by hand, and spend 40 years perfecting components smaller than a grain of rice. These were objects built to be wound every morning, serviced once a decade, and handed down. A good mechanical watch was not bought, it was inherited. They knew how to make a thing that outlived the person who bought it. And that was exactly the problem. This episode brought to you by Fifth Pour, where every bourbon bottle gets its story. Scan a bottle, read what other enthusiasts felt about it, and add your own. Every bottle has a story. Find them all at fifthpour.com. Quartz exposed. A quartz watch didn't need a master's hands, it needed a battery and a circuit. It was more accurate, it never needed winding, and, this is the part that broke Switzerland, it could be stamped out by the millions in a factory for a few dollars. The skill that took 40 years to acquire was suddenly worth almost nothing. Why pay a craftsman for a watch that loses a minute a week, when a machine can sell you one that loses a few seconds a year for the price of a sandwich? The Swiss saw it coming, and they froze. They had, ironically, helped invent early quartz movements themselves, and set them aside because they couldn't believe anyone would trade real watchmaking for a battery. Pride curdled into paralysis. The collapse was brutal. In the 2 decades after the Astron, the number of skilled watchmakers in Switzerland fell from 90,000 to 28,000. 2 out of every 3 gone. Storied houses shut their doors. Factories that had run for a century went dark. An entire way of making things, patient, human, built to last, was being buried under cheap, disposable, perfectly accurate plastic. This is the moment the story usually ends. The old way loses, progress wins, and that's that. But it didn't end there. And how it didn't is the whole point. A handful of people refused to let the craft die. They restructured the broken Swiss firms, and they made a counterintuitive bet. They would not try to beat quartz at being cheap and accurate. They would go the opposite direction. They split the business in 2. On one side, they fought back on quick pause. We make this show because we care about the things people used to do right. So it makes sense our sponsors do too. Captain's Krill Oil is run by somebody who refused to switch to the factory method. The whole industry uses chemical solvents now because it's faster. Captain still extracts krill oil mechanically, right on the boat, the way nature intended it. CaptainsKrillOil.com. Back in a sec. Nice with something clever and fun. A colorful, sealed, affordable Swiss watch that made watches playful again and brought the cash flooding back in. On the other side, they leaned hard into the one thing quartz could never offer. A mechanical watch as a deliberate, lasting, handmade object. Not a tool for telling time. An heirloom you choose precisely because a person made it, and because it will still be ticking long after you're gone. And here is what they understood that the quartz factories never did. Accuracy is a commodity. A $10 watch keeps better time than a $50,000 one. So the value was never in the seconds. The value was in the permanence. The gears you can open, clean, and repair 100 years from now. The thing built to be kept, not replaced. That bet held. Mechanical watchmaking didn't just survive, it came back as one of the most enduring crafts on Earth, precisely because it offered the one thing the disposable world couldn't, something made to last a lifetime. And then some. Look down at your wrist. Odds are there's a screen on it that will be obsolete in 3 years and landfill in 5. Now, picture the watch your grandfather wound every morning. Still running, still fixable, still keeping its quiet time. One of those is a product. The other is an inheritance. They knew the difference. They built for the second one. And the world, eventually, came back around to them. If something in your house was built to outlive you, tell us about it in the comments. And follow along. We find the things that were made to last every single week.